Hey, 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 what is up, YouTube? It is a Drunk Capitalist here, and today we're going to talk about Kanye West and the Pink Sauce Lady. Now, we have two black entrepreneurs, and they find themselves in peculiar situations, some good, some bad, a lot of business deals. Their businesses are growing exponentially, and they seem to have a lot of support from fans and supporters, but then they also have a bad rap on the other side of things. So let's start with Kanye. Kanye just announced that he's leaving Adidas and Gap partnership once their contracts expire. He pretty much immediately left Gap yesterday, and Gap has no shame at all in completely deleting this man from the earth. Like, this video, Kanye's like stuff is completely removed from Times Square. In the past few weeks, you guys have seen all the reports of like Kanye forcing the Gap to sell his clothing collaboration with them and Balenciaga out of a garbage bag. And I feel like those were more of the telling signs, but some of the most Stanley stands of Kanye are not even gonna like recognize it as, hey, him going hard. Most people say that his clothes are garbage and that he's not really designing anything and that he's selling basic things, but I think that was the intention with his Gap collab, was to sell basic affordable pieces, and he seems very upset at the price points that were set. But it doesn't really make sense to me that he's upset with those price points, only because he insisted on triple collabing and bringing Balenciaga into the mix. How can himself, the Gap, and Balenciaga all benefit in that relationship at a $20 price point? I don't know. But this is Kanye we're talking about. Sometimes things don't make sense. So let's just watch this video.
In fashion paradise,
Our agenda, it wasn't aligned.
Kanye West is terminating his multi-year deal with Gap and speaking out on CNBC's Closing Bell.
I'm the king, right? So a king can't live in someone else's castle. A king has to make his own castle.
The superstar announcing today he's parting ways with the brand after accusing the Gap of failing to follow through on aspects of their contract.
I signed on with them because they had, in the contract, they said they were going to do stores, and they just ignored us about building stores constantly. And sometimes I would talk to the guys, the heads up, the leaders, and it would just be like I was on mute or something.
West, who now goes...
Now, I find it really crazy with the whole, like, him wanting to put in stores for the Gap collection. And, you know, at the end of the day, this is business. And even though he signed the deal prior to the pandemic should have been his signal that, like, hey, maybe that part of the deal doesn't really make sense. Putting, you know, stores, physical locations, especially at a time when people are less likely to be going outside and traveling, you know, can really put a dent in your business, in the fact that you can be in real estate deals that aren't lucrative to your business and is actually detrimental to the bottom line. And let's be real, we know that we haven't seen the contracts, but let's be real, Kanye is not intending to pay for these buildings. Kanye thinks he's bigger than anything and that he doesn't need to pay for anything because he feels like these businesses benefit off of using his name, and they do, but they still have multi-billion-dollar businesses to run, and to create stores, pay real estate, pay employees, produce the products, distribute the products, advertise the products, and basically Yeezy just gets to put his name on everything and he's just making blank sweaters. I don't see why a company would even be happy to be creating stores for you. It doesn't really make any sense, especially since they already have their own brick and mortar stores. The collaboration is with them. We will just put your stuff in our store. Like, so I don't get him on that. I feel like this is one of his downfalls, is that he always just wants things the way he wants them, and it's unfortunate, but I say it all the time. The reason why Kanye is the way he is because the things that he does, it seems to work, and as fans, they fuel the power that he has because they just do whatever he puts out there. If he puts clothes in a garbage bag, they'll rummage through it to get it. So it doesn't, to him, it's as though he's a genius and he's super successful, but it's like, no, you just have enough stands with enough money that are going to pay for your products. but that doesn't make them good. That doesn't make you great. And it definitely doesn't help the bottom line of most companies if they have to do extraneous work in order to launch your product. It's kind of insane.
But also expressing frustration over the price of Yeezy's Gap apparel.
I always talk to them about doing products for $20, like the best product in the world, designed at the same level of the top fashion houses in the world at $20 for the people. And I wasn't.
So, like, I understand the part of, like I said before, I understand the part of him wanting it to be $20, but you want the price point to be $20, but you want the manufacturing to be at higher quality, meaning the margin is going to be lower. But then you also want them to invest in so many different ways. At what part of the deal are they going to make the money? Because I guarantee you he would burn Gap down if they said that, hey, you personally, Kanye, made negative $1 per item because we set the price at this or whatever, and then he will still complain.
The actual price that I wanted for this collection, and then they actually took one of the shirts and sold it for $19. So didn't price myself at like $200.
Gap stock was already struggling post-pandemic, and today it closed out down more than 3%.
The partnership with Kanye West that was expected to help Gap expand their relevance, target new and younger consumers coming into the brand. The issues with both parties coming together, I think, has led to what's happening today.
2 years ago, news of the partnership between one of Hollywood's biggest names and one of the 90s most iconic brands sent Gap stock soaring.
We've seen the influence that we've had on two Fortune 500 companies.
By June of 2021, Wells Fargo predicted Gap's Yeezy line could bring in nearly $1 billion within a year and boost Gap shares by $1.50 per share by 2026. High hopes of a revitalized Gap after Kanye's partnership with Adidas was an instant knockout success.
Gentlemen, you gotta clear the front of this place. You have to clear the front of the place.
His limited release shoes selling out almost instantly and being resold online for thousands of dollars. Kanye even rapping about his kicks in a 2016 song. He'd left Nike and signed with Adidas in 2013. But in recent weeks, Ye has taken to social media to criticize his fashion brand's corporate partners. In since-deleted Instagram post, he accused Adidas and the Gap of copying his designs in other non-Yeezy fashion lines. In a Bloomberg interview earlier this week, Kanye said it's time for him to leave Adidas too.
Yeezy is 68% of their online sales. And they've even gone and specifically hired people from my team to do collaborations with to attempt to make fake versions or to try to dilute my message.
Adidas.
And you see, again, this is where I have the issue with Ye. Let's just start with the last thing that he just said. He's saying that Adidas is like poaching his team and having them do like copies of his work and whatnot. There's a lot of problems with that statement because it shows he has an obvious disconnect in, a capitalist market. The people, your quote unquote team that works with you is not really your team. They work for you for a paycheck. If Adidas pays them more than you pay them, they're going to go work for Adidas because everybody's doing what they love, which is probably designing and stuff like that, but they still want to do it to the highest bidder. So if you're not paying your team more, then of course they're not going to stay. And you have to still understand that Adidas, at the end of the day, even though they work with you, you're just a collaborator and mostly a name alone. Because even like you admit, the designers are the designers. You're mostly there putting your name on things and signing off on, I like this. I like this final version. I like this. Oh, can you change this here and there? But the designers are the ones coming up with stuff. If they go somewhere else and use their design work somewhere else, it's not copying you. At the end of the day, yes, Yeezy slides are very cool. They're comfortable. But what part of the process is Kanye really a part of? And at the end of the day, the slides wasn't invented by Yeezy. Like, Kanye didn't invent slides. Kanye didn't invent foam shoes. He made them popular. We can say that much. We can say that the Yeezy branding and the shoes that they put out are very popular. The clothing that they put out with the Gap, very popular. He makes things very popular. That is what his brand value is. But he can't deny that with these companies, the reason that he works with these companies in the first place, he wants to say a king can't live in someone else's castle. The reason you work with their companies in the first place, because you don't have, or nor do you want to engage in actually creating an entire distribution system on your own. Like, you don't want to do the production, distribution, advertising, marketing, designing, everything by yourself. You hire people for that. So if you decided that you wanted to do all this on your own, you understand the massive undertaking that you're taking. The reason you went through all of that and claimed, oh, hey, I want to work with Adidas over Nike because Nike was limiting how much I could do, and then they were limiting the amount, and Adidas said that I can make as much as I want, blah, blah, blah. And Adidas gave that to you. Adidas gave you free reign. Adidas doesn't do anything. The only thing that they do on occasion is make similar things to what you make. But at the end of the day, they're the ones making it. They're making yours and they're making theirs, because at the end of the day, they have a business. And like you said, you're 68% of their online sales. They're not going to cut their head off despite their legs. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense for them to completely ignore the other side of their business and just focus on you. They have other collaborators. They have people like Pharrell. They have Stella McCarthy. They have so many different artists that they collab with that they're not going to just focus in on you, especially when you're such a loose cannon. You're a loose cannon. I wouldn't put my business in your hands either and put all my eggs in your basket, because you will drop that basket at some point. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that if they work with you, it is for a limited time. You're going to lose your mind. You're going to get upset when things don't go exactly your way. That's the problem I have with Kanye. It's like we understand, yes, your name is worth a lot in these streets. But when you work with these businesses, you do not own them, and you try to move like as though you own those businesses, like those that just because you sign paperwork with them, you are now in full control and you could do whatever you want to do because you bring in so much money for them. And it's like they're in a lucrative business deal with you. It is a deal. It is a negotiation and a deal. That's what it is.
Barrier of entry with his fans, so he has decided to venture off into his own. He's going to open some brick and mortar Yeezys on his own without these corporations kind of getting in the way.
The Gap did not reply to NBC News' request for comment, but for Ye, he says he had to walk away.
You're not going to be too optimistic.
No, I'm saying, and they have one individual on the planet that could save the Gap. And
Who
that
is it?
individual, I'm asking you, who do you think it is? Sometimes the answer is sitting right in front of you.
Always so humble there. All right, Ellison Bar.
Now let's move on over to the Pinks. So now we got Pink Sauce Lady, and I wanted to talk about this one specifically because of the fact that, this was a TikToker that created this pink sauce, and there's been a lot of controversy about it. But in relation to, Black business and entrepreneurship, you see, this is how you grow your business. You go to an already established distributor, manufacturer, in order to grow your business. In many cases, especially like something like this with food, a lot of Black people don't have the means of production. And in order for us to really get our businesses going and, safety and avoid the lawsuits like the ones that she's encountered because of shipping problems, like, we'll get into it. You go into partnerships with bigger companies that can handle such a thing. Think about, the Coca-Cola company. They own so many drink brands that they practically own the shelves in every supermarket as far as juice, because they manufacture so much different juice brands, including ones that other people, have partially own or have partnerships or were the original owners of that company, and they agreed to manufacture because they have the means to do so. So kudos to the pink sauce lady. But basically what happened on TikTok was she was advertising her pink sauce. Everyone was really intrigued about the sauce. People were trying it on TikTok. Everyone was saying it was really good. But then, madness ensued. People started ordering the pink sauce, and they were getting mixed reviews because some people were saying that the sauce was spoiled. She was shipping it in these packets that, like, regular shipping packets that you would ship, non-perishable items in. It was coming busted. All types of mess was happening with her business because she was trying to scale without the ability to scale, nor the actual, business and recipe acumen to actually sell this type of product. It could be very dangerous. And, FDA concerns, especially when it comes to food. But she partnered up with a distribution company, Dave's Gourmet, which I believe is headed by, the president is David Newman. And basically David Newman's team, they researched and developed the product, and they were able to reformulate the sauce to match the pink sauce lady. I don't know her name, bro. I really don't. I think her name is Chef P. To get the exact color and flavor profile for the product, and at the same time change some of the ingredients to make sure the sauce was less complicated, that it was dairy free, and clean of any preservatives, artificial colors, or flavors. So basically they just wanted to make a shelf stable version of the sauce in order to engage in commerce on a legal, FDA approved level. So now the pink sauce will become available September 22nd, and that's about 5 days from now. And you'll be able to buy it online and in restaurants and major food retailers. Well, it won't be available September 22nd, but production will begin September 22nd. So Chef P, she's from Miami, and basically the whole thing went huge viral, and then the pushback and everything became viral over the summer, and it became crazy. But you can tell that she really did believe in her product. At least that's what I saw from her videos. And she had a lot of criticism, and it really affected her, and she said it affected the launch and all that stuff. And I think that even pushed her to go even faster into getting into a actual distribution deal. And I see this being something really cool, because I'm a type of person, I like watching things like Shark Tank and seeing when people come in and they ask the sharks for their help, for their expertise, for their investment. And this is what people do. And I wish Kanye would see the world in this way again, instead of thinking or feeling like he is the most valuable piece of product on earth, and really understanding that sometimes you just gotta work with people. And I think once Kanye finally does his own thing, because remember, he's been complaining about this whole fashion thing for a while now, back on Sway. How's Sway? And I think once he really sits down and actually tries to manufacture everything on his own, distribute it on his own, and quality control on his own, have to pay his own people, have to do all these things on his own, and then when we as the consumers get the final product and people start reviewing it on YouTube and TikTok, of course, on Instagram, everyone starts seeing what the product looks like. I think that's when we're gonna we're gonna have to finally see Ye humble himself, because I promise you, there's gonna be issues. There are gonna be issues, because the only way for him to avoid issues, the only way for anybody that seems to want to scale a large business to avoid issues, they're going to have a proper established distribution. There is no way for you to sell 20,000 t-shirts and 100,000 hoodies, plus making 100 different pairs of shoes that you want to make 800,000 pairs, and you're not going to run into issues as a complete amateur. It's just gonna be fucked. It's gonna be even just thinking about the shipping time. Create people what systems they're gonna have to come up with in order to create that type of distribution. Like, think about drop shipping on Amazon. Amazon has a drop shipping for people that want to sell products, but they just don't have the time to sit there and package and do all the things, and then also have to worry about the logistics, because that's logistics come in at the end of the line. Once the product is made and boxed and ready to go, now you have to figure out how you getting it to the customer. There's a lot that goes into it, and he also wants to do brick and mortar. It's gonna be a lot. I am actually anticipating this situation with Kanye, and I want to see how long it's going to take him to actually get this product out there, and the quality of the product once it gets there. Because I have no problem with the pink sauce lady, because she went and did what you're supposed to go do and get something that's established and figure it out, and maybe if she's able to save enough money, she can create her own small factory, right? But at the end of the day, she's actually going to have a stable product and end market and end consumer that's going to be satisfied, because she has people backing her, and she's going to have something established. So kudos to her. Kudos to Kanye also for getting out of his deal with the Gap immediately, and obviously the deal with Adidas ends in a few years. So we're going to see how all this turns out with both of them. Let's keep our ears peeled. Thank you guys for watching. It's The Drunk Capitalist. Peace.